We are introduced to Kanata, who has just made the horrible mistake of going on a date with Crazy. If it wasn't already clear, those 38 stab wounds were fatal, so Kanata gets isekai'd in the worst possible way. But things don't get any better for him in his next life either, as he wakes up to find this old, ugly goblin staring at him. He doesn't understand what's going on, but it seems he has been reborn as one of them, so the elder gives him a new name, Gobro. The old man then proceeds to shove a big and juicy maggot down his throat for that bonus protein. And since Gobro is a baby, he can't speak or refuse anything. By day 2, he woke up to find himself surrounded by tons of ugly green babies, and he is faced with the reality that he is just as ugly as them. He comes to terms with the fact that he died and was reborn as this weak and helpless baby, so he spends the rest of the day crying over the loss of his beautiful human face. By day 3, he realizes that goblins seem to mature way faster than humans do, but that doesn't change the fact that he is still bald though. At least he is able to move and speak again now. So while it's not ideal, he chooses to make the best of the new life he has been given and heads out to face the world. On day 4, the now mostly grown goblins meet with the elder once more as he is holding a platter of maggots for them. He tells them he is done with taking care of them since they are freeloaders, so after today, they are on their own when it comes to finding food to eat. Gobro doesn't like the idea of eating maggots willingly, but it's pure protein, so he scarfs them down regardless. Afterwards, he now has to head out into the world all on his own, and as he exits the cave, he finds a beautiful world with unfamiliar plants and animals all around. One other goblin that had followed him is scared to be outside for the first time ever, so Gobro tries to reassure him by saying it's his first time seeing this place as well. The other goblin is Gobakichi, and although he is not very smart, Gobro decided to team up with him for one very important reason. He got the bulk genetics, so he's going to be helpful in hunting for food. They find a rabbit in the forest, so Gobro sends Gobakichi to attack it from the front. The rabbit runs away from him, but this was all part of the plan as Gobro had set himself up in a nearby tree, so as soon as the rabbit got within range, he leaps down from the tree and snaps the bunny's spine with that stick. This hunting strategy is really effective, but after the bunny has been caught, Gobakichi started getting a little greedy over the bunny, so Gobro had to smack some sense into him so he knows who's in charge here. After giving him a good dose of domestic abuse, Gobro begins prepping the bunny so it can be ready for their dinner. He snaps the rabbit's corn off, and after inspecting it, he figures he should be able to make a decent weapon out of this thing. Just then, he sees a notification in his head, and he doesn't know what to make of it since the elder never gave a tutorial on this. But his thoughts are cut off as Gobakichi has recovered and is salivating for his share of meat. Gobro conceives and pulls out the meat, which Gobakichi proceeds to gobble up with gratitude. On the 5th day, the two continue their hunting strategy, and Gobro has successfully implemented that rabbit horn as a weapon. As he takes a new horn from the rabbit, he receives a notification in his head again, but he's still not sure what it's supposed to be. He sits down to eat some meat, but once he takes a bite, his eyes begin to glow blue, and he is informed that he has acquired an escape skill from the rabbit. It all makes sense to him now as he recalls that in his past life, he had the rare ability of absorption, which allowed him to have a chance of absorbing the abilities of anything he eats. Although he still has absorption, it seems that all the other abilities he managed to gain have been reset since he is in a new body. It's still pretty lucky that he got to keep a skill at all, so he's okay with how things have played out since there are plenty of monsters lurking in the forest that he can eat to gain power. By day 6, Gobro has already started attracting girls with his impressive meat. She is amazed that he and Gobakichi had managed to capture horned rabbits when others have died trying to do the same. And since she actually has hair, it is officially confirmed that goblins can have follicles, but Gobro and Gobakichi are just bald. Gobro asks if she would like to participate in their hunt for the next day, and she was overjoyed at the offer. But on the 7th day, it rains so much that they had to postpone their hunt. Since he has nothing better to do, Gobro decides to go check out what they've got in storage since he has never been back here before. However, he wasn't prepared for what he would see there. He found a group of captive human women, which proves that even in this world, Goblin Slayer was right all along. He's just going to try to ignore it, so he spends his time crafting a weapon instead. The goblin elder named Gabji comes over to him since he seems to be oddly motivated to survive. At this rate, he believes Gobro might level up faster than expected. Gobro didn't know there was a level system here, so Gabji tells him to tap his forehead so he can see it. After doing so, Gobro sees that the elder is currently at level 86, and he mentions that if one manages to reach level 100, then they'll be able to evolve into a higher being. However, goblins age so fast that even though he's only in his 20s, look way too old. As he leaves, he tells Gobro that he'll get to see what an evolved Hobgoblin looks like when the promising youngsters return from the village, but something doesn't sit right with Gobro. The next day, it was clear out, so Gobro went out hunting with the other two. Their teamwork is outstanding considering they are only a week old, with Gobmi as backup, Gobro as their mid-range attacker, and Gobakishi as their forward. With this formation, they were able to get themselves a large haul of meat, and Gobmi is brought to tears as she takes a bite due to how thick and juicy it is. Gobro takes a bite as well, and he ends up learning several new skills from snake meat. The next day, they kept hunting, but by day 11, they made the mistake of going into an unknown cave, and they found themselves staring down a huge swarm of vampire bats. They immediately start running away, but the bats are too fast, so Gobakichi and Gobro stay behind to deal with them. They were getting overwhelmed at first, but then Gobro uses the evil eye skill he acquired and freezes all the bats in place. With all the bats frozen in place, they then proceed to kill all of them, and afterwards they dine on their corpses. Gobro gains some new skills from eating the bat meat, including echolocation, vamp up, vamphilia, and COVID-19. As they continue to eat like kings, they are watched by some of the other goblins, who are starving since they are too dumb to successfully hunt on their own. That night, they attempted to take their frustrations out on him since obviously, he's the one with the problem, not them. If they put this much effort into catching food, then maybe they wouldn't be so hungry, but they failed to account for the fact that Gobro has a search ability, so he could sense them approaching. He counterattacked them, and although he didn't really intend to kill anyone, he miscalculated on the amount of his venom skill to use, so one of the attacking goblins ended up dead. He didn't seem to care though, as he still wanted to teach them a lesson for trying to assassinate him. However, Gobmi shows up, and after what she did to them for attacking her precious Gobro, even Gobro feels sorry for them. The next day, they head out to hunt again and are planning a coordinated jumping on this orc. It was just minding its own business when they throw a rock in its eye, and while it's blinded, Gobakichi rushes in. The orc knocks him back with its pickaxe, but immediately after, its fingers get smashed by another rock. They then proceed to claim its kneecaps by inverting the bend of its knees with a club. And to finish off, Gobro stabs it in the head several times. After the orc has been killed, they enjoy its meat, but since they got a lot left over, Gobro decides they should take it all back to the cave, since there is something he wants to do. Once they brought all the excess back, Gobro calls the attention of all the broke and starving goblins and tells them that they can eat as much as they want as meat. After some initial hesitation, one after the other, all the goblins drop to their knees and begin gobbling up Gobro's delicious meat. As he watches them, Gobro thinks about how he would never have helped people out like this in his past life, but maybe being reincarnated changed more than just his body. That night, after everyone has gone to sleep, Gobro is laying down and trying to do the same, but the notifications in his head won't stop playing. It says he has exceeded the level requirement, so he will be evolving into a Hobgoblin soon. However, he wasn't paying attention to it since he was so sleepy. The next morning, something strange happens as Gobro wakes up and discovers that he now looks different. He is confused why his appearance seems to have changed again overnight, plus he looks a lot more similar to the way he did before he reincarnated. And more importantly, he is no longer bald. The same thing seems to have happened to Gobakichi as well, and Gami, although she stayed the same, she is loving the new look on her friends. The elder comes over to see what all the commotion is about, and he is shocked to find that both Gobro and Gobakichi have managed to evolve when they were literally born 2 weeks ago. Gobakichi gets Gobro's attention and says he would like to test out how much stronger he has gotten. But hunting won't be enough to satisfy him, so he wants to have a fight with Gobro himself. Gobro is up for the challenge, so the two head out to begin their match. They both begin boxing out in the forest, and Gobakichi is definitely a whole lot stronger than he was before, but he still lacks the combat skills necessary to be able to take Gobro down in a fight, as Gobro is able to slip under a punch and sweep his legs out from under him. Gobakichi admits defeat and praises Gobro for being so strong, but Gobro gives him credit as well, since when it comes to power, Gobakichi is stronger than anyone else here. Just then, Gobro hears some wolf noises off in the distance, and he can tell that something bad is going to happen soon. He calls for Gami, who is hiding nearby, to spy on them, and tells her that she should go get the crossbow they had made earlier because they are going to be needing it soon. Wolves are chasing a bunch of rabbits down the hill, and once they have successfully killed their prey, they lock on to their next unsuspecting target, a probably innocent orc that was just minding his own business. The orc starts running for its life, but the wolves aren't about to let it get away so easily, so they start chasing it down until they eventually catch up and tear it to pieces. Gobro and Gobakichi watch this all go down, and they think the wolves will be the perfect opponent to test out how strong they have truly become since they evolved. Gobro signals to Goblin to begin firing at the wolves with a crossbow, and once the leader is taken down, both Gobro and Gobakichi rush in to start smashing in the wolves. Without their leader, the wolves' teamwork was completely gone, so they were able to make quick work of them and slaughtered every single one. Afterwards, there was just the leader wolf left standing, but he too would eventually succumb to the wounds he sustained. After he collapsed, Gobro approached and opened his mouth to take a huge bite out of the wolf, allowing him to gain some extra skills, including one leadership skill. Gobro takes the rest of the dead wolves back to the cave and tells the other goblins that they are free to eat as much as they want, but from now on, he expects them to catch their own food. They don't have the confidence to accomplish something like that, so they all get down on their knees and beg Gobro to teach them how to hunt for themselves. He agrees to train them in the ways of hunting if they don't know how, and if they need weapons, he'll teach them how to make those as well. This gets everyone to like him a lot, so he is cemented in as the leader of the goblins. It may partially be because of his leadership skill, but that doesn't matter to him. He will work hard to lead his comrades, and he'll continue to eat and gain new skills as he goes, all for the sake of achieving his goal. This was the end of episode 1. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.